Hello everyone! For today's Easter card I'm using the Alleyway Stamps Spring Has Sprung stamp set, and I had stamped the bunny image and the carrot image from the set onto some heavyweight Copic quality cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I decided for the bunny that I wanted to leave him white, but you still want to kind of give a bit of dimension to an image when you're coloring it with Copics, even though it's white. So you can do really any color combo you want with that sort of thing. It just kind of depends on the shading areas and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get too technical into it because I'm no expert, but for this one I wanted to use grays, but you could use blues, you could use purples, you could use yellows, you could use warm grays, green, anything really. It just is up to you, and then you could really go all out and get all fancy with like highlights and that kind of stuff. But all I did was use gray markers. I just used C2, C00, and 0 just along the edges, and I blended it out with that C00, and then I'd use my 0, like my colorless blender, to fade it out even more, so it just gives it that little bit of dimension, which you can see here. And then to finish off the image, I just colored his little nose and his feet with pinks, and I used RV 21, 23, and 25. And then for the carrot, kept it really simple. I just used YG05 and 07 for the top, and they're so close together they pretty much blend themselves. So I just went lighter, darker, lighter again. And then for the actual carrot, I used my favorite orange combo, which is YR04, 07, 09. So just worked lightest to darkest, and then I just used the lightest, the 04, to blend it all together, because these three pretty much blend themselves. That's another reason why they're a favorite, is because they're simple. So once I was done with that, I trimmed everything out with scissors. I do have a video on my channel how to trim out stamped images with scissors, but basically all I do is I hold the scissors fairly steady, and it's the paper I move more than anything, and then I cut closer to the base of the scissors so you get smooth cuts. And yeah, especially an image like this that is a fairly simple image to trim out, it takes no time at all. So got those both trimmed out, and then I decided I wanted to add a bit of fun flock to the bunny, because why not? I'm going to make them fuzzy. So I've got some Stampendous Cloud White Fun Flock, and then my Quickie glue pen, which I just showed in my last haul, so I finally got a fresh one. So the adhesive comes out wonderfully. And with this, I work in really small areas at a time. I don't know, it might depend on your climate. Like if you live in a more humid climate, yours might take longer to dry, but I find this dries really quickly. And with the Quickie glue pen, as it dries, it turns clear. And it's one of those adhesives where it's permanent when it's still wet or blue. And then when it dries clear, it's basically kind of like almost like a sticky note type adhesive. So it works best to apply your fun flock or your glitter or whatever you're using while it's still blue. So it's just easier to work in little sections like this. So just put down the adhesive, pour on the fun flock, I press it in with my finger, and then I just flick off the excess and go on to the next spot. So I'm only adding the fun flock in the areas where I had the shading, because I didn't want to spend the time covering the entire image. I just wanted kind of the hint of the fuzziness, and it's hard to see on camera, and it's even in real life, and depending on how you're holding it, but it's really cute. It just gives a little bit extra, and you can kind of see it in the pictures at the end, just the little fuzzy edges of the bunny. So to finish off this card, I'm actually using a sketch from Deconstructed Sketch. I'll have a link to it in my blog post, but I thought that would be a good one to use for this card. And then I'm using some of my new Doodlebug pattern papers, again the ones I showed in my haul video. I'm trying to be a lot better at using the new stuff like as soon as I get it, rather than, I don't know why I always used to wait, but now I'm like pulling it out and using it. So I've got everything cut, and then I just used my Memento Tangelo orange ink, and I edged all the pattern papers and the cardstock. It just kind of finishes off the edges when you're working with a bunch of different pattern papers, and it kind of makes everything a little more cohesive. So the orange cardstock and the green is also Doodlebug cardstock. It's just from their little Brights pack. And I punched out a circle with a 1 3/8 inch punch, and then I'm using a sentiment from the same set, and I just stamped it with my VersaFine Onyx black ink. And then I'm going to adhere the papers and the cardstock according to the layout from the sketch. And once I've got that done, I decided to pop up the sentiment and the bunny with dimensionals, just to get them a little popped up there, just to give it a little extra something. And then finally I added some embellishments with some Doodlebug pearls, which I'll get to in a second. Same as always, A2 card base, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 with the fold at the top. And then yeah, I grabbed my pearls, and I was thinking of doing like multiple colors, but decided to just go with the orange and leave it at that. So got those into place, and then just some adhesive so I can adhere that to my card front. And then I'm going to go on and finish the inside, which was just a couple pieces of the same pattern paper I used on the front. I flipped over the little carrot paper and it had the little bunnies on it, which was perfect for this card, of course. And then I pulled out my old Martha Stewart fringe scissors, which I did a review on these forever ago when I got them, and I almost never use them, but for this card I thought it'd be perfect. So you don't need scissors like this if you don't have them. Like, they're just convenient and make something that's faster, but you can just use a regular pair of scissors. And so I cut that little grass edge and then added the little pattern paper, and then I had a little strip of the orange cardstock, which I just adhered over to hide the join between the two pattern papers, and I'm going to adhere that little carrot, and that's all there is to it. So as always, there will be a link below the video to my blog post, and in the blog post I'll link to the supplies used and all that fun stuff. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!